hearing from a student organizer named Shay Warnlipper. Shay?
Thank you. 1 year ago today, I woke up to the worst news I could imagine. After spending the previous night frantically sifting through panicked text messages and Instagram stories about ICE in Columbia student dormitories, unable to determine what had happened, I got confirmation that not only was someone detained, but that it was my friend, Mahmoud Khalil. In the days and weeks that followed, while my fellow students and I scrambled to put pressure on our institution to protect our peers, pulling out every tool at our disposal to get Columbia to even say his name.
It's encouraging to see such a big turnout on the first beautiful spring-like day. I want to begin by saying one of the paradoxes of advocating for civil liberties is that you have to defend the free speech of people who themselves are trying to abridge the free speech of others, or maybe even your own. Unless they stray into libel or slander or incitement, we need to defend the freedom of speech of our opponents, even those who denounce Mahmoud Khalil to the State Department. But that doesn't mean we agree with them. We also need to fight them implacably. And we need to fight the government, which illegally arrested Mahmoud 1 year ago, held him as a political prisoner, and is still trying to deport him just because he exercised his freedom of speech. And that same government is still holding Lecha Cordia as a political prisoner for the same reason, nearly a year later.
Shame!
But let's remember, how we fight is just as important as what we're fighting for. We need to fight with tolerance, with open minds and with open hearts, because you can't fight intolerance with intolerance. An awful lot has happened in the years since Lecha and Mahmoud were arrested. President Trump's attention has shifted from Colombia to Greenland and then to Minneapolis. Israel has moved on too, from bombing Gaza to bombing Lebanon and bombing Iran, in concert with the United States. The expansionist ambitions of these imperial powers has become ever more unmistakably obvious. Meanwhile, what has Colombia done? It's offered one excuse after another for locking up its gates. It has doubled down on its obsession with punishing peaceful student demonstrators. Even though Colombia's own former provost, Jonathan Cole, has called for clemency, and even though a civil court judge, Jared Leibovitz, vacated the sanctions against the Hamilton Hall students because their sealed arrest records were illegally used in the hearings, there's no sign that Colombia will accept the judge's ruling or moderate its draconian punishment. Colombia, like our society, like our government, needs to reaffirm the self-evident truth that protest and dissent are not criminal acts. They're patriotic acts. They're constitutional rights. And Lecha Cordia and Mahmoud Khalil have remained steadfast advocates for these rights and for human dignity and human decency. As anyone who is paying attention knows, they are heroes, and they will be universally acclaimed as heroes when the history books that their grandchildren will read come to be written, just like Rosa Parks and Medgar Evers and James Meredith before them. I am so immensely proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them in their struggle for free speech and tolerance and justice and peace. Thank you. Thank you to Lecha and Mahmoud and to Mohsen and Yunso and Manjani and Rebesa and to all of your brave allies for everything that you have done and everything that you are continuing to do. Courage.
Hello everyone, my name is Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier, and although I am a candidate for Congress in New York 13, which covers Harlem, Washington Heights, Kingsbridge, and this community right here, today I'm here with you all first and foremost as a community member. This time last year was very different. I remember where I was when I got the news that Mahmoud had been taken. The shock, the anger, the fear that I felt for his safety. And I remember as well the work many of us who are here today did as a community to help free Mahmoud. I remember the direct actions, the op-eds, the civil disobediences, the court support, and the strategizing we all did together, thinking all the time of how Mahmoud might be doing and feeling and how to get him back to his wife, to his son, and to his community. And as time went on, and as Rumesa and Mohsen were taken, as Lecha was taken, as Yunsil fought to stay free, and as so many others were targeted and taken, we kept fighting. And we must continue to fight for the release of all of those kidnapped by ICE and held in cruel and inhumane conditions. We must continue to fight against the fascism at our door and the institutions that have enabled it. We must continue because we know that our fight is far from over. Because when they come for one of us, they come for all of us. Our sister Leka is still detained. Her health has been failing because of the conditions she's been subjected to by ICE, and she's been denied access to adequate medical attention, denied contact with her family and lawyers, and denied her federally protected right to fast during this holy month of Ramadan. We must keep organizing to bring Leka home. Every day, more and more members of our communities across the country are being detained by ICE, DHS, and CBP, picked up by the goons Trump is using as a fascist weapon to terrorize and rip families apart. They are operating outside the rule of law and routinely flouting judicial orders. And we must call it what it is, an authoritarian power grab. On March 11th of last year, an op-ed I wrote calling for Mahmoud's release was published. And in it, a year ago, I wrote that we cannot make the dangerous mistake of thinking that those of us with citizenship are safe. If we allow the Trump administration to violate Mahmoud's First Amendment rights by threatening him with deportation, then they will violate ours too, with the threat of incarceration for expressing any view that Trump disagrees with. And unfortunately, we have seen that ring true. Not just with deportation and incarceration, but with death. With the killings in cold blood of Alex Petty and Renee Nicole Good, two U.S. citizens who were simply seeking to support their immigrant community members in Minnesota earlier this year. As long as ICE is allowed to continue to exist, we are all at risk, especially those of us who will not stay silent in the face of cruelty and injustice. Because this system cannot be reformed, no matter what any politician might say. This lawlessness must end now. Mahmoud is here with us today, and for that I'm grateful. But this fight is far from over. We must continue our work today, tomorrow, and every day after to keep Mahmoud safe, to abolish ICE, to end this terror, and to bring Leka and all the other detainees home. Thank you.
Candidate and proud rank and file member of Student Workers of Columbia, UAW Local 2710. I'm currently facing long-term suspension for participating in pro-Palestine activism at the university. In my case, a 2-year suspension with no guarantee that I will be allowed to return. Today marks 1 year since my co-worker and fellow union member Mahmoud Khalil was abducted by ICE from Columbia Housing without any intervention from the university. It has also been nearly a full year of unjust detainment for Leka Kordia. Leka is spending her second Ramadan unjustly held in detention, and her religious rights are being violated. We must remember that Leka is being targeted for one reason: exercising her right to free speech by protesting Colombia's funding of the U.S.-backed genocide in Palestine that murdered over 200 members of her family. Less than 2 weeks ago, Colombia's public safety officers stood by as DHS agents entered Columbia Housing without a warrant to kidnap undergraduate student Ellie. Let us make no mistake, Columbia is complicit. The support and resources provided to Ellie by the university constitute the bare minimum, and yet this same basic support was not afforded to our other peers. We all know why this is. It is because Mahmoud Khalil and Mohsen Madawi are Palestinians who dare to speak out against Israel's imperialist project and Colombia's complicity in the genocide of their own people. It is because of the baseless allegations regarding Ranjani Srinivasan's political activity that the federal government used to justify her forced deportation. It is clear that the Palestine exception is alive and well at Columbia. By refusing to support or even name the students who were abducted and deported for their Palestine activism, Columbia enabled unchecked state violence, not only here on campus or in New York City, but across the United States. In the face of increased ICE raids nationwide, Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people has continued unabated. We are seeing their project of ethnic cleansing expand into Lebanon. I want to hear you!
Peace and blessings, love and light, everybody. Columbia has been the site of so many of the first signs of authoritarianism. And I have to say the actions of Columbia a few years ago caused people to be harmed nationally.
Yep.
What they did caused students across this country to be harmed. and they should be ashamed of that. Cracking down on dissent, disappearing dissenters, and coercing institutions into complying in advance. The worst thing you can do is comply in advance. And what I hope we've learned is once you comply, the bully doesn't ask you to stop complying. They just keep going and going and going. And it's Colombia's students and community that have paid the price. A year ago, Mahmoud Khalil was abducted because he spoke out against the government's actions while being an immigrant, while being while being Palestinian. Those were the things that he did. He spoke up. By the way, speaking up is probably the most American thing that you can do. And while being a New Yorker. It is only because of the work of attorneys and the voices of agitators that he's able to join us here today. And for that, I am forever grateful. But it's clear that the threat is not over for him or for too many others. Less than 2 weeks ago, we saw ICE literally lie. The most deplorable thing. There is a race to the bottom that they keep finding to abduct another student in their housing quarters. They lied about why they were there. And there are still people detained simply for their views. Lika Cordia, a 33-year-old Palestinian woman who has lived in New Jersey with her family for almost a decade, is still in ICE detention after simply supporting Palestinian rights. She should be released today.
Yes!
Instead of focusing on actual threats, actual challenges, the Trump administration is either going after perceived opponents or creating new ones. I want to be clear of why we're here. We're here because people are speaking up and talking about protecting people that Donald Trump wants to otherize, that Donald Trump wants people to harm. And because of the actions of Colombia 2 years ago and 1 year ago, he has succeeded in places. Now, I am grateful for some of the response that I've seen Colombia had in the last few weeks. I wish they had done that a year ago or 2 years ago, and we wouldn't be here in the first place. And if they'd taken that leadership, other people wouldn't have been harmed. And I hope Colombia and law firms who capitulated, what we're seeing now is that standing up is not only the right thing to do, it is rewarded in the end. So everyone, we need to stand together, we need to lock arms. I know that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, goodbye Kristi Noem, they're gonna do their best to get us to pit ourselves against each other. But we are New Yorkers, we are gonna stand strong, excuse my language, but to all of them I say, fuck you. I really do. I'm really tired of it all. We're New Yorkers, we're Americans. Stop trying to divide us. And I want you to be clear. You will never come here without us doing everything we can to protect all of our New Yorkers and neighbors. Every single last one. We will stand up. So just know that and expect it. Our love is an action word, and we're going to make sure our love is greater than your hate. I'm so happy to see you, Khalil. So thank you, everybody that's here. Just keep up the fight. They're not finished, and neither are we. Peace and blessings, love and light.
It's a very long way to get to the place that we are coming to. And they do this in a way that people who are undocumented or members of our community that are afraid with interaction with law enforcement would not be here today. Is a conscious tactic by Columbia University.
Shame.
And we should know that. And we should remember that. Because every time we gather here, the university releases a statement afterwards and say, note, the university has not cooperated with ICE. But the university is cooperating with ICE every time a student is kidnapped, and they don't spend a dime in trying to get that student back.
My gratitude and respect and wishing a Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who is practicing. I admire your bravery. I appreciate your solidarity. You have become a remarkable example of never giving up.
Attempt and Colombia's administration attempts to silence us will never succeed. I will not be deterred. I will never be deterred. We're speaking out about Palestinian rights, about the rights of my people to live, no matter what they do, whether it's Colombia, the administration, Israel, or whomever. But also, while I stand here, Liqa is still in detention for a year now. And I said it, I wasn't surprised when I heard the news about Liqa's hospitalization. Because if I were arrested for all this time in these detention centers, I would have been hospitalized a long time ago. So I really call on all of you to continue to speak up for Liqa's release and for our freedom and liberation. Just like
right now, maybe you've seen it, where someone walks around Congress asking a simple question: America first or Israel first? It's meant to expose a contradiction when politicians say one thing, but their actions reveal another. So today, here in Colombia, I want to ask a similar question. Colombia first or Israel first? Because when we look over the past year, the answer starts to feel painfully clear. Student protesters for Palestine were expelled. Protests critical of Israel were crushed. The gates were locked. Surveillance expanded. Speech investigated. And the definition of anti-Semitism was broadened to be blurred with criticism of Israel. Indeed, millions of dollars were set aside for Israel First students and staff claiming harm from those protests. It's important to remember why the students have been protesting, why they occupied the historic Hamilton Hall and named it Hind Hall. After Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Palestinian girl, killed while on the phone with emergency responders, whispering that her family had been killed all around her. Those students were not glorifying violence. They were asking us to stop and look at it. Because something disturbing is happening right now. The tolerance for killing of children seems to be expanding. We hear numbers, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of girls and boys killed in Palestine, in Iran, and we're expected to absorb them and just move on with our day. But the killing of a single child should stop us cold. And if a child can be killed and it does not feel like a loss for all of us, then we have lost something fundamental. For reminding of us of that, Colombia expelled its own students and allowed them to be taken by ICE. So today we say clearly, and this I'm saying on behalf of many faculty and staff at Columbia who have been out here each week organizing this vigil that started today. Amnesty for all expelled and suspended student protesters. Stop handing international students and community members over to DHS and ICE. End Colombia's investment in surveillance companies used by ICE. Because a university is supposed to stand for something. A university is supposed to pursue truth, not punish it. A university is supposed to protect dissent, not silence it. A university is supposed to educate students to question the world, not expel them for doing so. Columbia should put Columbia first. And until it does, we're going to stay out here and keep resisting.